Got it.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the third session of TTC Meetup Season 3. And this time we are doing a theme-based meetup with this time's theme, the current theme being test craftsmanship. And the topic that we are going to cover today is heuristics. Um, Heuristics is something that we come across quite often. For example, for solving any problem that we have at hand, there is we all tend to have our own mental notes or physically written notes somewhere as a procedure that we tend to follow to solve that problem. And that is a fallible approach. It may fail, it may succeed. In certain situations it may have succeeded, and that's why you may have made a mental note that okay, this kind of problem will be solved by following such and such steps. Now this whole idea of having a sort of set of instructions or a mental notes or whatever to solve your problems is basically referred to as heuristics. In testing, heuristics plays a very important part because testing is often about this trying to discover solutions to problems, and in doing so, you apply your tricks out of your bag and see how you can solve a problem. Now, there's been a lot of research that has been done. A lot of people use these techniques. Some of these techniques can be applied across the board. Some people have made lists out of those techniques and have listed. Am I not audible? Because I could see.
Yes, you are.
You are.
So Priyanka, you may need to increase the volume, probably. My throat is really bad today, thanks to the virus. But yeah. So you may have to increase the volume. Yeah. So coming to heuristics, what has been some of your experience, or what are some of the simple tricks or techniques that you have in your bags to solve the problems? What kind of heuristics do you follow? I don't want to go in a particular order. It's whoever wants to speak first can go first, or I just start picking names. Anyone?
You go first, British.
I already spoke about it. Sachin. Okay, let's start with my co-enabler, Sachin. It's been a long time we've heard Sachin, so yeah.
Yeah, heuristic. So first of all, it took me one entire month to remember the spelling of heuristic, and then 1 year to understand the meaning of heuristic. I always. I mean, I understand heuristic. I read about it from different platforms. One thing which I like about it, it's one word. It says it's a cognitive shortcut.
Mhm.
And the second word, which is mentioned in heuristic, wherever I read it, including satisfy.com by James Quack, mentioned that it's a failable method. Why? And always when I talk about or think about it, if it is fallible, and we all know that there are good chances if you generate any heuristic about or anything from your experience, it's going to be significantly failed because you have some kind of biases, because you think that you know one of the solution to this problem or one of the tool that needs to be used, and you always be biased towards applying that knowledge or that skill set to that particular situation, whereas there are different ways to solve it. That's where it says like, okay, you did not try to find out other possible optimistic way to get into the problem, or sorry, to get into the solution of that problem, but your heuristics sometimes guide you to use the only thing which you know, and that's where it is most of the time fallible. My the only problem other than this I have is I don't know if I'm using heuristic. I think people say that everybody is using it, but they don't know if they are doing it. I am yet to be cognizant about whether I'm using and at what level I'm using what type of heuristic. There are a lot of things. I mean, every topic of testing I read is related to heuristic one or the other way, even though if they are not using this word. So it's a very big terminology for me. But what I understood by it is this way is it's a cognitive shortcut that you take to a situation, and you think that okay, if I know anything about this situation, this is what it could be the solution, and I start applying it. And I have done it a lot of time. Let's say if you talk about test case writing, so I have a specific 9 fields that needs to be included in the test case, and those I always use them despite of the different domain, different company, different project. I think this is not right. So to be honest, I don't know the actual benefit and how to apply heuristic, but I am on track of learning it. And in this call today, I am here to learn more about it so that I can start getting more information in that direction. That's where I am, to be honest. Yeah.
Hi, Brijesh. I have similar thought process. It is something like whether we know this word or not, we human have developed a systematic way of problem solving according to our circumstances, according to the situations which we have faced. Say, for example, when you continuously fail in an interview, you will develop over a period of time, okay, A, B, C, D, they'll ask, I need to prepare for C, E, D, F, something like that. So it is something like you have set of tools based on requirements or based on the problem at hand. You will choose that tool and you will fix that. So that is how I look at heuristics for me, like a tool set of lessons learned.
That's a good way of looking at it. I see somebody has joined with the name Lenovo. Could you please change your name so that we know who you are? If you could listen. Amutan, what is your take on heuristics? I mean, especially where you are doing a lot of work with test automation. So do you apply any such methods, techniques while solving problems? You solve a lot of problems too, right?
Yes. So yeah, when it comes to test automation, right? So I was a manual tester once, and then the journey is really huge, and I have fallen so many times. I have got up multiple times with very severe wounds. So yeah, it is all a part of my journey, and it comes naturally, right? You don't have to really think about it. It comes naturally as long as you know where you are heading to. I always do one thing, right? If I don't know where I'm heading to, I'll just take one step. Okay, I'll check whether I'm failing. Okay, no problem, I'll take another step in another direction. So that's how I see uh, this one about. So I don't really think about it, but it naturally happens to me. I find different ways. If I fail, that's okay. I come back, and then again I take a new step in another direction. That's how I see it.
And does it ever happen that okay, if you see a problem and if you think that it is of a similar nature to something that you've already encountered, then would you try and approach it with the same approach that solved the previous problem?
Yes, that's how my instincts is, right? So
Right.
yeah, so it's naturally happens, right?
Yeah,
But it,
yeah.
deep in my heart, I know whether I have done it more optimal way or not. If not, if there is a time, I still think about doing it in a better way. But if there is no time, I don't really bother about it. I'll go ahead and do it with whatever the thing that comes to my mind.
So, so basically, you are saying you made a very important point. While we may have our minds running in one direction and having sort of a trying to follow sort of a pattern in terms of trying to solve a problem, optimization is something that we don't generally think of. But deep inside, you are constantly thinking whether you've done it in an optimal way or not. Which optimization is a very important point, and that's where the improvement comes in. Because if you repeat a process certain number of times, then obviously you would want to make it more efficient over time when you're trying to apply the same technique to solve the problem. Okay. Who else hasn't spoken? Janardhan, you haven't spoken. Tara, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. And again, somebody joined with the name Lenovo. Lenovo. Good morning, good afternoon. You haven't
Good
spoken.
morning, good afternoon, Lenovo.
So, what is the heuristic according to you? All right, Amutan. Thank you. Well,
I'll fill the gap.
yes, please.
I think what Amitan said was absolutely right. It's mental shortcuts towards that we have on a day-to-day basis.
Mhm.
And I think we were talking about this at works a few weeks back. The way I was saying it was, if a tiger comes in front of you, you run away from it. You are not told to run away. You don't learn that you have to run away. You just know you have to run away. It happens. That's because mentally you're thinking, the way you think is like that, the short think fast, think slow kind of thinking. And we all use it in our day-to-day life. I didn't know about the word heuristic for many years, many years, until I heard it in a podcast on a train, and then it just blew my mind. I was like, I never thought about it like this. That it's mental shortcuts, and we apply it very often. And quite often I see in testing, especially in automation, I find it, yes, like you said, we go to the same fix shortcuts as much as we can until something doesn't work at all. And that's when we look for optimizing. Another one I see is about tools. If this worked, then that means that's the only tool that will work. I know Selenium and Java. Only Selenium and Java is the best tool for every project. It can be any project I work in next. That's the only tool that is working, that's going to work. So that kind of attitude, it's not an attitude. That kind of thinking is what is limiting. So we have to be conscious of our heuristics so that we can then overcome or understand how it is good to a certain extent, because it doesn't take up all our energy to think every time for small things. You can use your mental shortcuts to achieve something, but at the same time, like Sachin said, it's fallible, which means it can be wrong. It cannot be right in every context, every situation. That means you need to have other better ways to think about something. And this framework is the only thing that will work. This language is the only thing that will work. This tool is the only thing that will work. Yeah, so that's where I've often seen it happen, very often. And I think, again, solution to that is mostly the kind of thinking we have, growth mindset or limiting mindset. So if you're someone who's on the growth mindset side, you'll think, okay, let me step out and see is there another better way. Otherwise, you're just stuck in the same rut, and then you do the same mistakes over and over again.
Right. Those are some very really good points that we should consider. I'm just looking at who hasn't spoken yet. Shiva, you want to talk about heuristics and the use of heuristics?
I'm new to this term. I'm just trying to understand.
Okay. I'll give that to you. Janardhan, can you try speaking?
Yeah, Brijesh, this is my first time.
This is your first time. Okay. No problem.
Yeah,
Priyanka, if you can hear me.
Also my first time.
Okay, good. No problem. All right. So
Actually, sir, I have one question. Now I am starting a job. So like I have 2.6 years of experience. So means how can start my career in testing? So can you means give me suggestions and like that?
okay, so we will take this up offline. I will ping you and we'll discuss about this. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good to see you, Poonam.
Hey Brijesh, how are you?
Trying to get better.
Yeah, wish you a recovery, Brijesh.
Thank you.
Get well soon.
Thank
We have a
you.
lot to discuss.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. So I will first start with Sachin because he made a very interesting comment, and he said, Sachin said, you don't know whether you are using heuristics or not. So Sachin, you have a little one at home, right?
Yeah.
So what do you do when he cries?
These days, I also start crying.
These days, you also start. That's a good one. So leave everything to the mom, right?
I mean,
That's a heuristic.
my heuristic
That solve the problem.
Yes.
That's a good way to stop the child crying.
No, it's a good way because it's also a heuristic because he knows that the only person who can solve this problem is his mom. So she'll make sure that both stop crying. Right, Sachin?
Yeah, you know what, this is a very good example, and with this example I was just I can put one kind of doubt is, if he's crying and I haven't been in that situation, I have always seen him laughing and smiling, how my heuristic is what we understood is your past experience that helps you to determine what could be the solution, or it's like what should be the fast solution, what is the shortcut of your cognitive intelligence that says, okay, do this.
Right.
But what if somebody has not even faced any situation in
Right.
professional
So
career as well?
that's a very good question, Sachin. That's a very good question. So what our human brain is tuned to do is to try and experiment. Okay, and that's why if you read the definitions of heuristics, people will say that they are experimental and they are experiential, because it comes out of your experience and they come out or they evolve as a result of experiments that you do, and then you sort of remember them as successful experiments, and then you sort of tend to keep those repeating those over a period of time. If you haven't faced a situation before, you will try a lot of different things. For example, if your baby is crying and you have never seen him cry before, then like you said, you will also join him in crying. Okay, that's one way.
Sachin, you remember you yourself crying, right?
Yeah.
And
that heuristic will help too.
Actually, what I thought is he's asking me to mimic him.
So basically what happens is you will think of reasons why you may cry, whether you are hungry, okay, whether you're thirsty, whether you are sleepy, whether you are you are not feeling well, you have a stomach ache, whatever. So you think of all those reasons and try and see if one of those could actually solve the problem, right? So you will try and give the baby some food, something to drink, you will follow. And that is again coming out of your experience. So there is heuristics there as well, even if you've not done it or realized it before that. Okay.
Right.
So there's something
I
interesting.
think
Sorry, go ahead, Sachin.
Yeah, somewhere also I read about this during when I was reading it from satisfy.com. It was mentioned somewhere that not in that website, but some other article, that heuristic is combination of knowledge, skill, experience, and passion.
Yes.
So it's not important that you should always have experience, but you can also gather knowledge about a situation.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you can apply that knowledge. You have faced it and you have mastered that skill set of how to get out of such situation if those are there. If not, then at least you should have passion. Like I should have passion of helping someone, not crying. If at least I have that passion, I can start trying something for this little one or anyone, and that passion can help me to generate couple of failable or successful heuristics, and that's how I should try to solve the problem. I think that's what it should be. Yeah.
Right. I will. I want to share a story with all of you, and it's. I mean, I was hoping that James would join this because that would have made the story a little more fun, because it involves James. So James has had this slight confusion with the gender of people, especially from India. So I said, James, I have a heuristic for you. And so, okay, so what is the heuristic? I said, so if the name ends with an A or an I, most of the times it is a woman. Okay, most of the time it's a woman. And it's talking about Indian names, okay? And if the name ends with an H, SH especially, it's most of the time a man. Okay, so this is one. The next is, then there are letters which indicate that they are women again. For example, if the name ends with L, if the name ends with R, if the name ends with P, if the name ends with M, N. Okay, so it's typically a woman, unless and until they are from Punjab. Because in Punjab, names don't have genders. Okay, so they are unisex. So this is a heuristic that I apply, and it works for me. And now I have kind of figured out, okay, there may be certain situations where I may fail. For example, I got the gender of Kiran wrong once. Okay, that taught me, okay, N is also one character that I should be aware of. It can be a man, it could be a woman. Okay, so Suman, again, it could be a man, it could be a woman, again, ending with an N. So, these are certain things which you experience and you develop. So that is something that I have suggested to James as a heuristic. So you are applying heuristics basically almost everywhere. It's just that we don't take a note of them. But ever since I have come across the term heuristic, I try to sort of list in my head, okay, this is the heuristic for solving this kind of problem. So my brain automatically goes in that direction. I could see Seema smiling when I was talking about that heuristic. You have a comment, Seema, on that one?
Like I said, I've never thought about in those terms of is it a heuristic or not. But yes, often I get here when we get CVs and we're filtering those. I do, as soon as I see a name, I was like, a girl, or where in India, north or south. You can sort of start guessing from the surname or the name or something of that sort. And I often get asked, how do you know? Just by name, is it very obvious? And I understand now. I've never thought about it. Why is it that I just make a guess like that?
Yeah, so there is a mental thing that's going on in the head. It's just that we have to put it in that context and say, oh, this is a heuristic that I'm applying. Yeah, and it so happens that that in testing, especially when it comes to talking about trying to solve problems in testing, you keep thinking about what are the techniques that you have used to solve a typical problem. For example, if you are designing a test for, say, a login page, okay, and we know exactly what all we have done in the past and what has worked, but some customers or some end users may have certain different needs, so you start thinking about it a little differently. You not only add your standard set of experiments, but you also think of adding some more based on what the customer is looking for. Now it's just a login page, so you may have a totally different approach towards it. So going a little further, have you heard of any heuristics in testing? Can anybody share some? Hey, good to see you, Saurabh, Krish. Anyone?
I mean, what is the question? You mean how I know that it is heuristic? The problem is, now you said that there is one of the approach that you apply to identify what should be the gender by this name.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of heuristic you call it?
Which kind of heuristic? I have not named it.
Exactly.
Okay,
So I mean,
okay.
in testing also we are using. I don't know if it is. The problem is unknowingly everybody's used the heuristic. That's what we determined.
Yeah,
But for testing.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, what I learned so far is for testing you have to first generate heuristic to test, and then test that heuristic whether it is a good heuristic for testing what you want to test. Confusing, right? But that's how it is. Otherwise, there are good chances of you're thinking in the different direction. You're not solving the problem, you're creating problem for yourself if you will not test that heuristic. That's why I don't know if I can list out heuristics that I came across in testing. But one thing I'm sure that I always do things around this term called heuristic unknowingly. Yeah, in testing.
Yeah, you're right. So yeah, good that you've asked me. Okay, I have not thought of a name of the heuristic around names. Maybe I'll call it the Indian names heuristic or whatever. Okay, now that you triggered that thought, okay, I can see why's laughing. so okay, and get it sort of patented or whatever. No, just kidding. Okay, but it's quite interesting. Okay, so one of the very important things, and I should have mentioned it sooner, but good that I remember now. One of the very important thing about testing and about heuristics in testing is the context. Okay, and one heuristic may work in a certain context, and in another one it may not. And that's why it's important that you also have a track of the kind of context in which you are looking for the solution, right? Shubhadev was trying to say something. She wrote something on chat, I saw.
Okay, it is about the talk by Rahul Parwal and Apurva Ram. They spoke in some conference and they posted it. It's about the testing mistakes which we are doing and how we are evolving. It's an interesting write-up to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for reference for further if anyone is interested.
They spoke in the Agile Testing Alliance conference.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I know. So okay. So yeah, I was talking about some of the heuristics that we sort of know in testing. A lot of people have done a great lot of work in terms of defining heuristics for testing, and there is a great list of stuff that is available online which we can use. For example, there's one that I'm going to share with you right now. Hold on a sec. I had it open. Okay, I find it.
In the meantime, I have one question to Seema.
Go ahead.
Right.
Okay, so I mean, this was one of the doubts which I wanted to discuss, and I have been discussing with a couple of people about heuristic only. So Seema, you said that you were not aware about this term for many years, and you were using it. this concept phenomena you are using, but you are not sure about this term. What is that change that you brought in your experience before, when you were not knowing it, but when you started knowing it? Is it important for a person to know what is heuristic? Because everybody is using it. How it will help if they know this term, or it's same?
I don't want to give away wrong advice here, okay? I'm not the person who thinks about every action I do and put a name to it. I've never been that way. And I find it hard. It may be wrong, it may be right, I don't know, but I find it hard to put a name.
That's how I am. That's where this devil question is. Why we need heuristic?
Yeah, so to your answer, once I heard about it, me being me, any new word, then I go deeper into it to just understand what is it, what does it mean? So that's how I got into finding out what is a heuristic and read more about it and understood more about it. And it's interesting to think, how does the mind work and how we make decisions. So one of the ways it has helped me is probably when I'm with my team or with someone, and some decisions need to be taken or are taken, or the way somebody's thinking or saying this is how it needs to be done, this is how I did it. It's nice to understand where is it coming from. Is it because they have had previous, like even in interviews for that matter, is it because of your previous experience that you're thinking like this, or have you really tried and given it a good clear thought about what needs to be done? On a day-to-day basis, test estimations, we sit in sprints and people are like, oh, it takes about 10 hours to do this. Like, okay, what makes you think it takes about 10 hours to do this? And they're like, oh yeah, the last time we did something like this, it was about 10 hours. Okay, but right now you have everything sorted. So would it be different this time? And then the answer changes when you have more information added to it. So as a default, we jump to what we previously know. So last time it took me this much, this time also it'll take me that much. But then when you start questioning, when you try and understand from what perspective is this person saying such a thing, then you get a better understanding. So on myself as such, I don't know, like I said earlier, when Brijesh said about names, I've never thought about it that way. I just know that this kind of name is from this area, just because previously I've met some people from this area. And yeah, things are that I do get it wrong many times, but it's okay. I don't know if I've answered your question, but it does help. It does help in understanding people. When at least from where I'm working, it helps me. Even in,
I mean, one of the real problems that you and the solution you've given is in interviews. It always helps you to understand from where this thing is coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I begin a bit deeper because I've had people who like the only way this can be done. I'll just give an example. There was one team lead I was I was interviewing, and this person said, I only Java and Selenium. So I said, great. But we don't use Java and Selenium. We have Cypress framework. But Cypress is not very good. Java and Selenium is the way forward. I was like, okay, what makes you say so? And then it went on to, but that's the one I've used previously. I said, just because you used previously doesn't mean it works. She then thought about it and said, but yeah, that's what it has worked. And eventually, after a lot of questions, she realized that, okay, I'm saying I know that it works and that's the only way forward is because that's the only thing I know and I've been taught, and I understand it very well. So just because I don't understand Python or I don't understand JavaScript, it may not be, it's not the wrong tool to use. So after a lot of questioning, we eventually reached that point, but it took a while to reach that point. And also another one is tools, for example. I've only used browser stacks, that's the only tool that works. But why? Let's give something else a trial and then let's think about it. No, but this has always worked for me, so that's the best. Yes, it's the best, agreed, but do you think we should give it a try? So it's helped me that way to just ask further when I need to. Sorry, I spoke a lot.
No, thank you for the detailed explanation and the examples.
Sachin, if I have your permission, I also want to add something to this.
Please, yes.
Heuristics, we don't necessarily need to know the word heuristic. Without that also we apply. I don't think our mothers know the word heuristic and they apply similar methods to solve our problems. I don't think our fathers have known the word heuristic to solve our problems. So, something similar to Seema has been in my experience as well. I came across the word heuristics quite late in my career, almost midway through, like for example, around 8-9 years of experience. That's when I encountered the term for the first time. And I was like, okay, so what is this? And then when I started looking up for resources, I came to a list like what is there on the screen right now. And if you notice this very carefully, it's acronyms, okay, or mnemonics as they call it. Mnemonics are usually the first letters of certain words put together to form something that you can remember. For example, the first one, that is SFT depot, is something that is the first that I ever learned when it came to heuristics in testing. And it's also said as San Francisco depot. And it's like, okay, what are some of the aspects that you would consider while testing something? You say you will consider the structure, the function, the data, integrations, platforms, operations, and time. Okay, so this is something which is there, or there was something very interesting. It was called as long fun cup. I don't know if it's there here in the list. It was done by it was put together by a gentleman called Dhanashekhar Subramaniam, who is now one of the CXOs at Mulya, a fantastic tester. He did something for mobile testing, and Long Fun Cup became a very popular mnemonic-based heuristic. So most of the heuristics that I encountered earlier were all based on such mnemonics. But then later on, I realized that it doesn't have to be something which is based on a certain mnemonic. It's just a way of remembering it for your use. So, to answer your question, Sachin, it's not important. I would say not exactly not important that you think of heuristics.
It's not essential.
Yeah, but it's just that our brain works in a certain way, and in a certain condition, given a certain context, given certain resources, our brain tends to go in that direction and looks up for solutions based on what we have experienced before or the kind of experiments that we have tried earlier and that have actually worked. So yeah, I never bothered about the term heuristics. Even now, I don't generally bother. But then mentally now I know, okay, so this is another heuristic, and this is how I can solve this problem. Okay, so that's just a way of remembering and telling myself that okay, I'm sort of kind of making a mental. Sorry.
Hi, Ajay.
I'm so sorry.
Hi, Ajay.
Ajay. Yeah. Ajay is here. So Ajay does have a lot to talk about heuristics. Ajay, did you drop?
No, actually, I did not drop. Hi, Brajesh. Hi, everyone.
So Ajay, your thoughts on heuristics?
Easy to get confused. Once practiced, will never leave you.
Once practice will never leave you. Yeah, good. So Sachin, you might want to ask your question to Ajay. It'll be interesting to hear his response.
Yeah, sure. So Ajay, we discussed about heuristic in the kickoff kind of talk. Everybody came to this point that they were not aware about this term, but they were using it one or the other way in their professional as well as personal life to solve any situation and problem. So I was just wondering that, and this was same for me as well. I did not know about this term, but I was using heuristic to solve a lot of problem, small or big problem. So I was wondering if somebody or everybody unknowingly doing or applying heuristic, is there any change that happens when you start knowing this term? Heuristic, will that change the way you think or apply, or is it going to make you more efficient, or what is the purpose of knowing this term and how it will help you to apply it more significantly?
So let's relate that to breathing. Everyone breathes, but then more and more we get to know that, okay, this is shallow breathing, this is deep breathing, this is breathe in, breathe out through the stomach, coming out and in like a baby breathing. That once we know it, then we consciously put in maybe more effort, or maybe consciously put in more attention to what we do and then get better at it. Or at least say, oh, this is not for me. Right? All these magic might not happen if we are unaware or we consciously start ignoring stuff. So that's where I feel it is good to now that at least we know that there is something on that. Why not? Like that there is something about breathing, but you're not going to know more about it, right? So who is losing out is something to think about. I'll just flip around the phone for a second.
So I mean, if we want to utilize the actual potential of anything, we should know that thing, and so that we can put more.
Yeah, I mean, I have made this mistake of being against automation without knowing about automation, right? And then when I realized the power of automation, then I like, oh, all these years I was talking or bombarding about automation without knowing the depth of it. Correct? And if I continue to do that after realizing my mistake, for example, I shouted, I thought I was on mute, but then I shouted, right? So things like that, right? So if you continue to do that mistake, then it is no longer a mistake, it's a choice.
Right.
Right? So that way, yeah.
Guna hai, guna. Yeah.
And this is in a way good that we are like, just 10 or 15 folks. Tara Gupta, hi Shubhodaya, hi Shiva Krishna, Mystian book reading man.
Yeah,
Tara,
Ajay, sorry, Ajay. There was probably I was not able to join the link. Broken link was
no,
broken.
that gave a test idea. That joining a link via phone versus link via laptop looks like phone asks for a code without letting the owner know that someone is trying to access the link. So you will say, where is the code? And suppose I am the organizer, I will not even think about you, right? So good test idea,
Yeah.
That's that. Let's now connect that back to heuristic. Something that we are unaware, how will we even think about it if we are unaware? Now we are aware, so that can become a heuristic, meaning, will it always work? No. Will it always fail? No. That is a very good example of a heuristic, a fallible way of solving a problem.
But you are unaware about the problem itself, right? Solving problem is what heuristic is, right?
Correct. So,
but what if you are unaware about the problem itself? What is the technique?
Yeah.
Be aware about it. Yeah.
After I am aware of this problem, right? Then now I will use that. I will remind myself of this situation in the next time. So correct?
Yeah, right. Yes.
Right? Will this experience always help me? Maybe not, maybe yes. That's why it is called a heuristic and not source of truth or or a rule.
Correct? Yeah, I agree. Yeah, yes. Right. It could be fallible.
Yeah, if you do not know or if you don't know what the problem is, that's when your experimentation happens, right? And experimentation in combination with your experience is probably the foundation of heuristics. And
so there is an equation there, Brijesh, right away. Experiment plus experience equal to not success, not heuristic. You used one more word starting with E. I don't know which one. Experience plus.
I experiment. experiment. Experiment.
No, you said the equation, and I told equation, so that was E. So yeah.
We'll find out another E. Don't worry. We'll use all our heuristics to find out another word with E. Which
it's just you need to see this recording, and you'll find that another E.
Yeah.
I tried to give an equation, but it is still incomplete. I'll make it a differential equation for this.
So I can repeat what happened. So what happened was when Brijesh told experiment plus experience. Wow, experiment plus experience is a heuristic. I was thinking in my mind equation. So that was the E that I was referring to, but that's okay. How is everyone?
Ajay, thinking in equation makes problem simpler many times.
That could be a heuristic. That could be a heuristic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry?
For some of the people, the moment I see an equation, I'm like, nay. Where is the people here, right? So for some, they like equations. Correct. For some like me, they don't. So yes. That's a heuristic.
I generally derive equations from every situations, especially if it is complex, so that I'll simplify later. I mean, that is one of the ways.
Yeah, that could be one of the heuristics that you apply and it works for you. And because it is fallible, it may not work for somebody else. So Ajay, experience plus experiments is equal to evolution of heuristics. So there's the third E for you.
Yeah, thank you. Let me try tweak
it. I'll pat my back later. Thank you. All right. So an important question, and Ajay, since you are here and you've done extensive work with heuristics, maybe this is a question for you. So are heuristics similar to checklists?
Similar to?
similar to checklists, mental
Okay.
checklist.
Is that the question?
Yes.
Checklist is a form of heuristic.
Okay. Checklist is a form of heuristic. Okay. So
Checklist could be one form of heuristic. Mnemonic can be one form of heuristic. A written SOP can be a one form of heuristic. SOP as in some procedure. What do you call? Standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
Right. See, someone has a problem. Any of these could be the solution. Any of these fingers. For every time, this will not be the solution. But this can also be one of the solutions. I mean, the solution for one kind of a problem. So all these are heuristics. It could be standard operating procedures. It could be test cases. It could be checklist. It could be guide words. It could be resource links. It could be library of testing. It could be, this could be anything. This could be a person as well, right? This could be a person. We call it the live heuristic.
Yeah.
Live heuristic, live oracle. Maybe it was more related to live oracle, but then now I related it to live heuristic, which also makes sense, right? So
yeah, which also makes sense, definitely, and it is quite often a very important unnoticed heuristic, if I may call it that way. That if we are in a situation and we generally tend to go to one person we know who may have the solution to that problem. And that is also a very important heuristic, the live heuristic. Okay,
correct.
That's the first thing that pops in your head. And in my case, most of the time it's my dad. It's just a matter of picking up the phone and calling him and saying, "Dad, I have this issue. Do you know what I can do?" And most of the time he has solutions. Sometimes he's like, "Not for me. Talk to your brother." So yeah. These are good things, and that brings me to another question, and anybody can answer it. So when using these heuristics, what happens if one or two or three of these heuristics they fail and you still are not able to solve the problem? And this, I'm throwing this open. Maybe Shubhoday, you can start talking about it. Tara, you can say something. Those who haven't spoken. Priya is also here in the call. Hey, Priya.
Hi, Brijesh. I actually had a question before you question. So you said that Ajay have done an extensive work with heuristics. So just a step ahead with that. So Ajay, you since you have worked extensively with it, so have you must have followed different approaches, different strategies with respect to same. So have you ever documented that? I mean, the way we document things with respect to our products or our functionalities or anything. Like, for example, like Brijesh said, let me say that I'm an example, which Brijesh said that, okay, I have failed 2 to 3 times following the approach. So, and you have followed 5 approaches for the same, and even you got failed for 3 to 4 times, but the 5th time you got passed, so that I can refer that heuristic approach. I mean,
got it. Okay. So 2 things I want to touch upon, just quickly making notes, and then so that these act as my guide words for the conversation. First one, right? Have I documented it? Yes. Let me try joining it via laptop so that I can share my screen. Where did I get the link? WhatsApp. Okay, so while that is happening, I'll also answer. Have you heard of this heuristic test strategy model?
no, Ajay, I haven't.
Okay. So let me share that. I'm just connecting on laptop. Let me go out and then come back in.
In the meantime, I'll share HTSM, Ajay. I'll share.
Yeah, that was quick. Okay. I am here. Okay, great. Host sharing is also enabled, which I'm like absolutely loving it. I hate when I get into meetings and then like host sharing is disabled. Like, bulaya kyun? Or like participant sharing is.
I knew you were coming, Ajay.
Ajay, we can see your screen.
Yeah, that's the entire purpose of switching to laptop.
Okay. And I'm happy to see the mind maps.
Yeah. So this is one such mind map. Okay. You see it is going on and on and on. So this was when I was trying to learn about a Swiggy mobile app. Okay. I can expand few columns, few nodes. See, it is just a visible elements mind map. Okay, so there is nothing confidential or anything of that sort.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if this is a PCO. It doesn't look like a PCO.
It is, even to come up with a PCO, I need to know what's in that app, and app is all about this. This is how a user looks at it.
Yeah,
but then when the tester starts looking at it.
For everybody's benefit, I'm sorry, I use the acronym. PCO stands for Product Coverage Outline.
Right. So then I started, so I'll tell you. So I started with, the main 4-5 screens. By the way, I'll have to drop off in 8 minutes. I have another meeting, but I'll try my best. So this is my kind of a documentation. Was it Poonam? Right. So I go here. This I used for expanding the feature known visible elements. Right. And then once all of that is done, then I'm like making use of where things are getting connected and things like that. Like, for example, this restaurant carousel item expanded is coming from, it's still going here in the offer carousel. When you tap on it, where does it take you to, right? Something of that sort. And let me show you something else. HTSM, PDF. So this is HTSM. You will get it if you search for, or someone can paste the link on the.
I will do that.
Yeah, right. So you spend decent amount of undisturbed time with this document. Don't worry if you don't understand any of those terms. Just finish it. Okay, one round. Then next, what you do is dig slightly deeper into it and try to apply it to your context. If you still don't understand, talk to me, talk to James, talk to anyone, talk to Brijesh. I think he is also aware of all of this. Now I'll show you an application of this, right? This is a test strategy model. You see the heuristic word here, right? So this is not the test strategy model that will always work. So that's why it's a heuristic test strategy model. Now let's see the application of it. Okay, so let me stop share because I'm not sure what all might crop up, and then I want to show the PCO as well as the HTSM. Okay. Where do I share screen? Share screen, all the things. Okay, good. So you see here, project environment, quality criteria, product elements. So this is the product elements. So let's go to what is there in the product elements. Okay, you see structure. Okay, trying to zoom in for you. And, hide sidebar, correct. Okay, structure is everything that comprises the physical product. It has code, hardware, service, non-executable files, and collateral. Now, I am trying to test, say, the LinkedIn write article feature. Let's go to LinkedIn. And let's go to write article feature. You see this? Yeah. If I click on write article and I say I'm publishing as Ajay, what do I see? I see this publishing menu. I see a headline. I see cover image. Then I see, my details, and then right here. Okay. Very simple feature, right? You can test it in maybe 3 hours. Yeah. Yes, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'll show you why you cannot test it in 3 hours. Okay, so let's go to the product elements. And if you see, there is about the code. Now relate that with the HTSM code, hardware, service, non-executable files, collateral. I put it here. Okay. Now clicking on each will give me more questions, more test ideas. Now imagine that for this feature, function, application, visible elements, like the mind map that I created for Swiggy, like that I will create for write article, correct? And then calculation, where all is calculation coming in write article feature, it is the article count. Once you publish, it will show Ajay has published 65 articles, for example. That means this article, what I'm writing or testing, will also affect the article count, right? Same way, comments count, likes count, notification count, view stats, numbered list, and audience insight. All of these are calculation related. These are not independent. These are fed by my write article features output, correct? So then time related, publish time, notifications times, likes, all of it has time. Then you go to transformation. I'll show you where is here, transformation, right? Functions that modify or transform something. So the cover photo gets modified. I put it somewhere. LinkedIn adds its own transformation on top of cover photo, correct? So that way I use this entire 4 or 5 page PDF and then put it here and then relate it or apply it to the feature that I'm testing. Okay. Now, once we do all of these, doing this itself will take 3 hours. Forget testing. Doing this itself will take 3 hours, right? Because I need to know so many things. It is not just, okay, cover page, all my kinds of questions. Why 1280 into 720? Compare it with code, compare it with past versions, compare it with the next version, right? Who told 1280 into 720? Why did you tell? Who told? What does my competitor take? Right? So there are so many questions. Once I get so many questions, then I will put in stuff like, I'm just trying to show you an article which you can read in detail later. Yeah, this one, right? Some people say, hey, Ajay continues to use the same article for everything. I'm like, if that answers 80% of the time, 80% of questions, why not use it all the time? Yeah. Okay. But that also is a kick in the back to create more such articles. Yeah, this is one. Okay. You can go through it and then you will understand the thought process of why I did what I did. Yeah, so this is one, this answers both of it. One is, have I documented? Yes, I do document. Second, HTSL, please get, be aware of it. Third, stop thinking in terms of pass or fail. I did hear the term pass or fail. Start using the words, is there a problem here or not? That will open up a lot of things for you. A thing can pass in some context, fail in another. Right? So let's broaden our view. I am slightly short on time, but a very good question. I can spare 2 more minutes, and sorry, for jumping in at some time and jumping out sometime. That was like a scheduled meeting.
But that was valuable, Ajay. Always.
Thank you, Ajay. This was a really nice explanation.
Thank you. I just have your name. If you're okay sharing your face, then I can take a screenshot in my mind, like who's Poonam, who asked this question.
Okay.
It is as simple as, if you have decided to be in the meeting, why not be on video? Be fully.
Actually, my kid was roaming here and there, and if he sees someone, then it's like he wants to be on the camera.
The next generation. The next generation is most welcome on this call.
Bring them.
Yeah. See, the more you try to, get them out of the video, it is very difficult. I will show you a case. It is today at 12:51, right? What is the video? You see here, this is my son. First 10 seconds, they'll be like, hi, hi, and then they will start doing that. I'll show you one more thing. No, not this. I had my daughter here, my son on my lap, and I'm doing a session with Jocelyn. It's okay. I mean, everyone should get used to such stuff. And that reminds me of a quote, if Brijesh allows me like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Those who mind don't matter or shouldn't matter to you, and those who matter to you will not mind all of
Will not
this.
mind. Yeah, good one. Good one. Thank you, Ajay. I know you're really short on time. Thank you for joining.
Thanks, Ajay.
Thank you. I'm dropping.
Enlightening. Yeah. Hope to see you in future meetups.
Sure.
Thank you, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ajay. It was really enlightening.
All right. That was a good one, quick one from Ajay. Going back to the discussion again, the question that I raised, I would like to repeat and I would like to hear from you guys, your perspectives. So what happens when the heuristics that you're trying to use fails? Anybody?
It is the time for improvement of the heuristics which we have, set of rules which we have learned it so far, and try a new thing. Evolve. Now that you know it doesn't work, you can try for new thing, new set of heuristic things.
And
from my side, so it looks like a problem. 2 years back or 3 years back, I saw a YouTube video that how to solve quickly some calculations, how to multiply double-digit numbers or triple-digit numbers very quickly. But when there are 4 numbers, 5 numbers, 6 numbers, and when you don't multiply with their mathematics, you again go back to your school kind of multiplication, right? Upper digits, lower digits, and then do a cross and then do all the things. You always get a solution by that thing. So it looks like that problem. When all the multiplication fail, you go to the previous one. So basically, let me talk about one example. When I shift from web testing to mobile testing, I have done all kind of thing like functional testing and then regression, performance. I have done all kinds of things, but I haven't updated the app. Like the release has gone for the so I haven't updated the app, and when release goes on the iPhone, when people update the app, it crashes on the first step. So it was like learning for me, and I have created the heuristic UTA. Have I done UTA? Update the app? Have I done that? So after every release, I do UTA. So I think improvement. There is always a room for improvement there. And if everything's failed, we always go back to our school.
Go back to the drawing board, basically.
Yeah.
try and sketch a new picture. All right, that was a good one. So we have 13 more minutes. Any other questions anybody has? I saw Priya mention something good in the chat. Priya, you mentioned, as per your understanding, whatever you've read, documenting in easily understandable way. Yeah, that's a good thing. That's also a heuristic, more of a behavioral thing that, you know, it helps you later for reference. So that's why documenting something, that's also something that you would do. So you know, heuristic is basically more of a natural, instinctive way of trying to reach a solution based on some of the learnings that you've had from your past experiences. Okay, and you can apply them very well in your day-to-day life. You can apply them very well in your in your professional careers, and then you should be good. So I have shared the link of the HTSM in the chat. I will also share with you a couple of other links, which Here's something that you can refer to. That's a good reference. So, all right, thank you, Seema. I don't know if you had just have a 1 second so that we can take a picture. If all of you can switch on your cameras, just for maybe a second. Krish, Priya.
Can you just share the link again, please, for the PDF?
Sorry?
Is it okay to share the link again for the PDF which you just shared?
Yeah, I will share. I'll share. All right. Good. I will quickly share the links again.
And for everyone, small tip, please do share the chat because we have interesting information here in the chat, right? So there were many links in the chat. So for our reference.
I will share the chat as well.
Shubhodaya, you can also save the chat.
That is what I'm telling. Individually, we can save the chats for our quick reference.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to find. The virus is just beating me down, trying to beat me down.
Today, I just got to know I'm positive second time after 7 months.
Wow. For me, it's the first time, so I'm a little sucked in. This is bad.
Kashaya, Kada.
All those don't work for me. Heuristic. Is this the link that you were asking for, Shiva? The Karen Johnson one?
Yeah, Bridget.
Yeah. Okay.
Can't we save the chat from mobile? Because I'm not getting that option.
I will. So once I get the recording, I'll also get this thing of the chat transcript. So I will share it with you, Poonam. No problem.
Okay, British. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And also in the video below description, we can add the links there, whatever we have discussed in the
description. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for that suggestion, Shivara. I'll do that.
Welcome.
Okay, so it was a good discussion. I hope you guys would have taken away a few things. Continue the learning. Heuristics are fun. Next week we are going to be looking at something very interesting. Just a moment. Next week, we look at test modeling as a part of the test craftsmanship series that we are having right now. So we will look at how to build mental models for your tests, how to think outside the box and design your experiments. So test modeling is quite often linked to your your test strategy and test design. So it is an interesting subject. A lot of work has been done. There is quite a lot of information available online. Yet it is one of the most underrated, underspoken topics when it comes to testing. And often people correlate that to model-based testing. So we will see how the two of them are significant yet different. So next week's session is going to be a lot more fun. I hope to see all of you back again with more people. Take good care of yourself and enjoy your Sunday. Poonam,
Thank
you
you.
raised your hand. You wanted to say something.
That happened by mistake. That happened by mistake, British.
Okay.
I just saw now.
Okay. Yeah. Any closing comments from anybody?
I like the interesting perspectives. Tara told about the school days, going back to school days. That actually helps. In school, we are still learning many things which we have been taught in school, and we do keep applying. So I regularly interact with one of my Kannada teacher. So whenever I'm talking to her, I realize, okay, I knew this already, so I can use this. So that's a good thing. Thank you.
An interesting thing, and I thought that since you made reference to school, I must tell you this, okay? So at a certain point in my career, I used to think, whatever I studied in school or engineering, where is all that? I'm not applying any of it right now in my day-to-day job. This is a big question. I was thinking, and I was like, was that a waste, or is this a waste? Okay, and as luck would have it, my next project that happened after I thought about it was right in the domain in which I studied my engineering.
Wow.
Okay? And I was like, oh my God. And now I have to
Universe
go back to my engineering books. Okay.
No, universe has got your
Yeah. It's like I have to go back to my engineering books. Okay. Study all about it's all about resistance and
electronics, capacitor
capacitance
and inductor.
yeah
color
study
code.
about all of that, and because it was in the electronics domain. Okay, and the customer was manufacturing voltmeters which could capture voltages, the lowest of voltages in microvolts, okay, to the highest of megavolts. Okay, so that kind of a range. So we had to actually understand what is going on and what are the variations that you can bring in, how much resistance. And once I walked into the client's compound, I could see these boxes with these big resistors and capacitors, and I was like, this is what I was missing. So the knowledge that you've had in your school, in your college, I can tell you from my first-hand experience, it is never a waste. Okay, it will come back to you in some way that you don't realize. Okay, sometimes at home, if the fuse goes off, you start thinking, and that's like, okay, so now I'm supposed to be an electrician. All right.
Okay.
or the mixie stops working, and you're supposed to look at the wiring, and I mean, you can't go anywhere. It's COVID, it's lockdown, and so anyways, that's a small story.
And one more thing, sorry to interrupt, just few seconds. So now the data science is in boom, and people are going back to the equations which they have learned during college, that differential equations and maths and all those things. So I'm so happy that it's actually helping.
Yeah, differential equation scares the hell out of me even now, but that's what
I love it.
But anyways, thank you for joining this morning. I hope to see you all again next week, and let's talk about test modeling next week.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Brijesh.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thanks, Brijesh.